I'm going to give you 5 tips to instantly improve your pool game. Let's get into it. Okay, tip number 1, stop hitting things so damn hard. No need for it at all. First of all, you're not going to do your tip any good, are you? You're going to foul quite often. It flies off the table. Pool is all about touch and feel. No need to be hitting things like this. Unless you're playing on a 1940s napcloth with fleece Berghaus jacket on top of it. The cloths nowadays are super reactive, so why do you need to be hitting it that hard? You just don't. Try to have control over what you're doing. All right, let's move on. Okay, tip number 2, work on your basics and fundamentals. One shot, you could walk into it and you look great when you're down on the shot. Second time, you could walk into it and your legs are spread. Next time, you could be cueing like this, right? Anything can happen. So what we need to do is find consistency within our basics and fundamentals. We need to try and have the same bridge hand as often as we can. We need to try and walk into the shot, have the same pre-shot routine. We need to have the same stance, because pool is all about repetition and muscle memory. So if you're not consistent with the way that you're standing and the way that you're approaching the shot, then how can you expect to be consistent with the shots that you're playing? Let's move on. Okay, key tip number 3, the break. I've got a few balls, but I've also gone in off of the cue ball, and I just want to let you know how important that is in this day and age. The levels, the depth of the standard of pool nowadays, even amateur players are so good that if you go in off on your break, or you don't get a ball, or they are continuously getting balls off their break, then they are going to have first visit every time to the table. And that is a massive advantage for a good player. Not only can they clear the table now, but they've also got the opportunity of taking control of the table. And I could come to the table every time with very limited options. So work on your break. There's no guarantee, because there is luck involved, that you will get a ball, but work on trying to hit it as clean as you can, drive through the pack, and look for the best split possible. All right. Okay, key tip number 4 is about the grip. Now, I've noticed that some players hold the cue like this, really tight. Some players do that when they're nervous or when they're under pressure. Now, this restricts what you can do as a pool player. If I have it like this, really solid, really rigid, I've got not much freedom or movement in my arm. It feels pretty robotic, and my wrist doesn't have much movement to it. I want freedom in my wrist, so when I'm playing shots with spin, I can actually do that flick of the wrist action. Now, you can still hold it tight and pop balls. There's nothing wrong with that. But I just think going forward, that's probably not the best technique to use. So what you can do is you can hold it relatively loose, not too tight at all. And then when you come back for your pause, then you can open your hand up a little bit and then squeeze it again when you're going back together. So 3, 2, 1, open. Okay, another example, don't hold it too tight. You can even hold it with your 3 fingers, because you're not having to play anything hard on a pool table. So you shouldn't need to hold it really tight. You can just hold it loose, and then 1, 2, 3, pause, open, and back. All right, give it a go. Okay, tip number 5 is about the mental aspect of the game. Now, you'll look at tips across the internet and you'll see physical tips all day. You'll see how to drive through the pack, how to break, how to apply spin, how to make adjustments, all of that sort of stuff. No one really touches on the mental aspect of the game, and it's super important, especially when you get to a high level. When you're at a higher standard, you'll walk into a tournament and everybody there can do what you can do already. Everybody makes the game look extremely easy already. So they separate themselves by being mentally stronger. If you make a mistake, you didn't mean to do it on purpose. Move on. If somebody flukes a ball against you, who cares? You can't do nothing about it. It's an uncontrollable. Move on. If you don't pot a ball off the break, it's an uncontrollable. Move on. If somebody breaks and finishes against you and you haven't even touched the table, what can you do about it? Move on. Don't let these little things affect you mentally, because they will then start to affect you physically during the game. All right? Good luck.